Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you could all join us tonight. My name is Laura Krider, and I serve as Gerald's project manager, and I'm also a fellow choral music lover and singer, which Adam and I have overlapped over a number of years. And we're really excited to be here tonight celebrating this album release from Such Sparks, which is all choral music of Gerald Cohen, performed and sung beautifully by Cantorai, which is a Minnesota based choir. So I'm just going to give, I'm sure many of you know the artists that are already with us tonight, but I'm just going to give little tiny bios. Gerald has earned many critical accolades for his operatic, chamber, and choral music. He's cantor at Sherei Tikva in Scarsdale, New York, which it sounds like we've got some people from the congregation here tonight. And he's also on the faculty of the Jewish Theological Seminary and Hebrew Union College. Gerald's large body of choral music is available for all levels of and types of choral ensembles and reflects his love of expressive singing, imaginative text setting, and exceptional craft. So, Gerald, thank you so much for your music and your voice.
Thank you.
Adam,
Wonderful to
who,
be here.
yeah, Adam, who's also with us, is nationally recognized vocal chamber artist and conductor. In 2021, he became the artistic and managing director of Cantorai, a chamber choir in the cities. And Adam builds on an extensive choral background that includes work with the National Lutheran Choir and nearly two decades with the acclaimed vocal ensemble Cantus, both ensembles that are Twin Cities based.
Hello to those who just joined, including Hazan Joanna Dulkin, who was also on the album. We'll be hearing from her in a little while.
Hello, Joanna. Yeah, we'll definitely be folding you into the conversation. So I just wanted to do like a really quick overview, and then I want to give plenty of time for Gerald and Adam to share with you. This album is the result of a collaboration. Gerald serving as composer in residence with Cantorai in the 2024-2025 season. So it was a really long range relationship building. And the album is music that's all select choral music from the past 15 years of Gerald's output. You'll see texts in both Hebrew and English. I'm hoping that many people on this call have already done some listening. Do we have any Cantorai members that are also on the album that have been singing?
I haven't
Great.
seen any pop in yet, but I hope they will shortly.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so let's get started. I would love, Gerald and Adam, for you to just tell us a little bit about how the residency came to be, what your time looked like together. I know some residencies are all about creating new music, and some are just like digging into existing things. I'd love for you to talk about the residency dynamic.
Adam, would you like to start?
I would. That'd be just great. Lovely to see everybody tonight. Thank you for being here. We'll encourage you to put any questions you've got in the chat so we can kind of get to them as we go. If you want to be as verbose as you want in the chat, that's just fine. That'd be wonderful. It started because Laura and I have had a kind of a singing friendship for quite a while, and Laura said, you're going to be at the American Choral Directors Association conference coming up in Cincinnati. Would you mind sitting down with Gerald? And we had a chance to sit down there after I listened to a good bit of Gerald's music. And I think it was a very quick conversation because we realized we were kind of in the same in the same same interest level. And Contrai is a new-ish. We're almost 40 years old, but we have been kind of in and out of different elements of the Twin Cities. And our newest endeavor is this new initiative recording. And it was a great fit to think about Gerald's music, stretching us. We've been have a chance to work with a Korean composer, a composer in the midst of the choir, and then Gerald's music really would definitely be a new step for us. And so that's really where the genesis of the conversation was. And we since had a number of conversations back and forth. I was lucky that Gerald traveled to the Twin Cities a number of times to be at the Cantors Convention and other things. And from there, it was quite simple to choose a small bit of Gerald's music, a small bit of his large catalog, and to say we can focus on these mostly because it was going to work wonderfully to have a handful of Gerald's pieces at our other kind of concert programs throughout the year. They fit the theme nicely in each one. And then coming together to record all of them in that February March time worked out wonderfully. So from my perspective, it was a very natural time. Gerald stayed at my house for a weekend when he was out for a concert. We had a great time. I got to meet my family a little bit. So sorry about that, Gerald, but yeah, it was great to have you. So from my perspective, it was a natural fit because Gerald and I kind of speak the same language musically, and it really was just a very, very natural fit with the music and the choir.
Thanks, Adam. And I guess first of all, I want to say you mentioned about the earlier residencies that you did, and I think what you've done is I don't know if it's completely unique, but it's very special that Adam has for 3 years at least has picked a particular composer to work with and work with them for the whole year and then do a recording of their music, a whole album of their music. I've never had anything quite like that before. When I've been in residence with a choir, it's usually for one piece or a weekend or something like that, or maybe for two concerts. But to do a whole year's worth and to from the beginning plan that you're doing an album is something very special, and I think it's amazing. It's certainly amazing for me as a composer and for the composers that you've worked with, and I think it's also wonderful for the choir in that they really get to know a composer's work in depth in a way that that wouldn't happen otherwise.
Very much so. The choir absolutely loves it because the growth that happens when you go into a studio on music that a small amount of music you've been working on for a good bit of time is you just light speed the growth as a choir. And then to add the composer being there to discuss these things is magic in its own way. And the choir loved having Gerald around. And we were lucky in that we got to see Gerald at our kind of Advent Christmas time, again for the recording, and then again in the spring when we were able to finally premiere all these pieces. So that was quite wonderful for us.
Right. So doing first we did the record. I mean, of the first we did the recording, and then later in the season in May is when we did all of them in concert, and that was a very special experience.
Yeah, I want to fold in a great question here from Louise asking, Gerald, did the music feel different when Cantorai sang it? I know many choirs have performed your music, and the Minnesota choral tradition has a particular sound too. So it's a great question about what was it like hearing Cantorai specifically perform your music?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was wonderful in that they're a wonderful full chorus. I mean, I've spent some time in Minnesota before, but what I now realize in spending more time in the Twin Cities is this amazing choral tradition of so many wonderful choruses throughout the state, and Cantorai is one that's it's not a professional chorus, but it is on such a high level. And so I guess what was different is that these were all rather different kinds of pieces, and I felt like they were able to get the language and really pick up on it quickly. And I'd say the only thing which was interesting, which maybe, I mean, Adam, you talk about maybe being Minnesota with specifically with Lighting Our Way, which we will talk about more later, which was the commission piece. There was a part near the beginning of the piece where the chorus came in, and I felt they were singing so beautifully, but it didn't have as much urgency as it needed, and it was just like so beautiful. I said, "Don't be so beautiful, be dramatic," and I think it took just a little bit for them to get that, but once they did, it's like boom. I mean that's the thing with many choruses. I found once they're singing it a particular way, it takes a long time to get them to shift their gears, and Cantorai shifted their gears beautifully and dramatically very quickly, which was very gratifying.
That's great. I would love for you to share with everyone how you decided what pieces to create in this album. I mean, there's so much to choose from, and I know we're trying to tell a story through combining them together. And I also, Gerald, would love if you could kind of fold in some of the origins of who these pieces were written for. I know you've written for many youth choirs, community professional choirs, in sacred and secular settings. So we'd love to hear about how you selected the repertoire.
Well, I'll start a little bit at the beginning of that, and part of it is I know what we can accomplish in a certain amount of time. So I was looking specifically for a few pieces to plug into different elements of our season-long programming. So that, some of Gerald's stuff really kind of worked perfectly. From Such Sparks, that the title track of the album really was a beautiful fit for our fall program that was called Home, Friends and Neighbors. And so you have a chance to go to talk about what it's like to be a friend and a neighbor. And then From Such Sparks, it really is such a kind of a brilliant text that fits with that. So that was a no-brainer there. And then, finding a number of other pieces that would be good fits for us, given the time frame, that's where kind of I start. And then it only works if what I'm feeling with time frame works with what Gerald needs to have recorded, as far as a composer catalog. So that I was able to look at these 9 pieces, give or take, and then we kind of decided on 7 at Gerald's kind of insistence after, seeing what we could manage. What else you got, Gerald?
Well, I guess for me, I don't remember how many pieces I suggested originally, but I was focusing on pieces that I knew were really important pieces to me, but that hadn't had a recording, didn't have a really strong recording yet. And this actually, I mean, one thing that for me, which was really great, is that though I'm lucky to have several albums of my music that have been out, this is my first album that was completely choral. So I'm really grateful to Cantorai for that. But, that because choral music is probably maybe what I'm best known for, and just to finally have a fully choral album. So it was picking pieces that were important to have recorded, and then as Adam said, both in terms of the needs for his programming, and then what would make a good overall program, both live and for the recording. So in terms of some of the specific pieces, I guess one thing I just want to make sure everyone notices is that all these pieces were commissioned by specific choruses, usually for specific occasions, either for an occasion or an honor or memory of someone beloved by the choir. And when I'm commissioned to write a piece, it really is so much about thinking about that chorus and what their level of skill is, what they want to do, what is important to them. So I'm not someone who loves writing pieces just I need to write a piece now. It's more like someone says, I want a piece from you, and that is really what gets my creative juices flowing. So a couple of them, like for example, From Such Sparks, the title track was written for the Seattle Jewish Chorus, in memory of their former conductor, Mary Pat Graham, a really beloved person for them. And this was one where the chorus suggested many texts. It's like it was a little bit by committee, which isn't so often that way. And they suggested many texts, and out of that we finally picked a few of them. And when it finally came together, one of the texts was from the Bible, from the Book of Proverbs. The other was from Jewish mystical texts. And this key line that came out, her light radiates undimmed through the night, talking about anyone and specifically about Mary Pat. And combined with the mystical text, From Such Sparks, torches of light gather and illuminate the entire world with their glory. Just having that all come together. 2 of the pieces were written for a wonderful chorus called Hazamir, which is an international Jewish teen chorus that I've worked with a lot. It's kids from all over the U.S. and Israel, which rehearse in their communities throughout the year, and then finally come together usually at either Carnegie Hall or Lincoln Center, and 300 strong or 400 strong sing a concert together. So for me then, writing for teens who are not all of them are trained musicians, but they're all incredibly enthusiastic about it. that is an incredibly special experience for me too. So the experience of writing each piece for a specific chorus was really special for me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I can speak from, being a teenager is when I got hooked on choral music.
Hmm.
So that can be so transformational to be able to sing a piece written specifically for you. That's
Mm-hmm.
really special. I would love for us to do some actual listening at our listening party. Let's listen to some music together. And I think we're going to start with "We Are Loved by an Unending Love." This is an excerpt that we're going to listen to from the beginning, but I think it's time to get some music in our ears. So, Adam, I'm going to ask you to be our DJ or VJ. No, DJ. Yeah, for this.
Let me just say this was written for the a synagogue choir in Virginia, also in memory of a beloved chorus member. So
Great. Okay, let's do some
we
listening.
are loved by unending love. Some people might recognize that's my voice. We are embraced by arms that find us even when we are hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us even when we are too proud for soothing. We are counseled by voices that guide us, even when we are too embittered to hear. We are loved by unending love. We are supported by hands that uplift us, even in the midst of a fall. We are perched on eyes that lift us, even when we are too weak for we are loved. We are
Really beautiful. There's something really powerful about hearing a choir sing in unison, if you ask me. I love that sound. Yeah.
And of course that also when I'm teaching beginning composers, the idea of having unison and then expanding. Then when they come in on harmony, then it's a big deal. So that as a contrast. I just want to mention that beautiful poem is by Rabbi Rami Shapiro, who's a wonderful poet. I've set 3 or 4 of his modern liturgical poems, and I just love his work. So just mentioning that.
Great. And something we were hearing you also sing, you were a really active soloist and cantor. So I'm curious if you could share how that affects your compositional style or process. And Adam, I'm sure as you've worked with many composers over the years, sometimes there's a variance of expertise in the instrument of the voice. So I'm also curious about, as you've commissioned works, how that has influenced or impacted the success of the piece.
Well, so yes, I'm definitely a singer. My original training is as a pianist, and then in my 20s I really started singing more and became a cantor. So for many years I thought of myself as a pianist who happened to be doing some singing, and I guess by now, 40 years later, I guess I say I am a singer. um, and I I mean, I love as a cantor and as a singer that I get to sing every single week. So I'm always using my voice. So I'm always thinking about things in terms of my voice. And when I'm writing music, I do compose at the piano, and I'm sitting at the piano and singing along. And, so pretty much always when I'm writing, I'm, as I say, banging, howling. I'm just I'm just wanting to make sure. I mean, it's not even something I'm consciously doing, but just that it's very much that I'm that everything comes out vocally for me, and that I really want to write music that is gratifying for the singers, that they'll want to sing. So that's a really important thing for me in my writing.
I think Gerald, being a singer and a good singer at that, has really given his music a sense of melody that is kind of you don't find it often by composers who are focused on writing for strings or writing for a larger ensembles. And what was has really stuck out to me about these pieces, it's all wonderful melodies that are completely hummable and kind of earworm their way into your brain, and it's great. And for the choir, we have some wonderful voices in Contrai. One of them is on the Zoom today. Hi, Jesse. And it was fun for them to get a chance to hear Gerald singing in a way that, as choral singers, oftentimes they maybe feel they don't have the ability to do, or the kind of the license to sing. And so to hear Gerald as a real cantor kind of light into a few of these pieces was really exciting for them and for me. The initial conception actually was to have Gerald be the pianist throughout the album. But in thinking about some of these things, Gerald wanted to A, listen, and B, solo a little bit. And I think this was actually a better situation to let Gerald kind of be one of the producers of the album, and then also step forward into this solo role. And it just gives it so much more authenticity, and it's just fantastic. So it was a lot of fun to get to hear Gerald singing. It had been a little while since we'd met, and then all of a sudden we heard him do this, and it was pretty exciting.
Thank you. I should say also that, and of course, Adam is a wonderful singer as well, as is Laura, and many people on this Zoom. Um, that when one thing that I've learned over the years is that when I'm coming as a composer in rehearsal to a chorus, and even for instrumental pieces, the best way for me to communicate to the performers about how I want a passage to be done is to sing it, right? You can use lots of words, and that's great. I'm not a particularly good conductor, so for me to get up and try to do things with my hands doesn't help so much. But if I sing a phrase, it's coming out really the way I want it to sound. And then in this case, Adam would then say to the chorus, "Okay, do this, this, and this, and this," so you can sound like what Gerald was singing. But that's what I've discovered is one way that I use my voice in a very important way for me in working with choruses.
One more quick little story about this. Gerald also, in writing these beautiful melodic lines, writes very long phrases for singers. And so it was fun to hear him have to sing some of his own phrases. And so we had a good chuckle about that a couple times, where in recording in studio, you kind of have the license to do this, where you can kind of make an effort at a couple of things, and if it doesn't work, just do it again. And so it was really fun to have a chance to do that. So that was kind of neat.
The beauty of stagger breathing and then being able to edit and fade in. This is true behind the scenes info.
I won't tell you how many different takes were used on every recording. I won't tell you. It's just fine. Just know that it all sounds wonderful now.
That's great. Beautiful. Well, I would love for us to dive a little bit deeper into the piece that was commissioned specifically as a part of this residency, because we've talked about a lot of these pieces are from the past 15 years, but we also have a brand new piece that's in this album, and it's called Lighting Our Way, Hannah wrote, Hallelujah. And I would love to learn more about, how that came to be, how you decided on what was going to be written, and what the album needed, what the choir, where their strengths would shine. Yeah, love to get into that.
Gerald had a wonderful idea to have a new commission as part of this project, kind of a real capstone on a residency like this. And I was able to look back and all the way through, and in the 37 years of Contrai history, Contrai had sung 2 Hanukkah pieces ever. And so it kind of fit our winter Advent Christmas time theme to have a piece about Hanukkah. And I'll let Gerald speak to the idea of the commission, but we have a common friend in Joanna Dulkin who will come on here in just a little while so we can chat. But she was very receptive to this idea and was able to help us find some of the donors to make the commission possible.
Yeah. So when Adam and when I was in uh, Minneapolis for the Cantors convention, I believe that was when Joanna was president of the Cantors Assembly. Hail to the chief! And Adam and I were deciding on this, and then I went up to Joanna and said, would you like to write? Would you like to commission a piece for us for this residency? And she said yes, and that no composer could be happier than asking someone, and they said, and the person says yes. So should we bring in Joanna? Can we bring her on to the conversation?
Hi, Joanna.
Hi guys. This is so fun.
So Joanna, do you want to talk about how this came to be?
Yeah. So I need to start by saying that Gerald is my teacher. And when I was in cantorial school, I took one of my best classes I took was a composition class. And he taught me many things. And I'm proud to say I'm also a composer, but he is
Indeed.
he's my teacher. So and also Rebecca, she's also in this school now. So and Rebecca's brother and family are members at Adath. So it's very nice and full circle. But I know Gerald's music really well, just being his colleague and friend for a long time, and really respecting his all the things that you've said. Really are it's beautiful music. It's music that sticks with you, and not just melodically, but in terms of the form and the thought behind it. And the opportunity to work together, well, he did most of the work, let me just be clear, but the opportunity to work together and collaborate on this project was really a gift. And we have a lot of wonderful music lovers in our congregation. And so it was really a wonderful opportunity to be able to bring the forces together. And the idea of a new Hanukkah piece is also close to my heart. As a person also in the Jewish music world who grew up singing choir music. And, we would always have, growing up, the one sort of Hanukkah song with all of the legitimate Christmas music. And then I was always asked to sing like the one solo and the one weird Hanukkah song that wasn't a real Hanukkah song. So I don't know if anyone can relate, but there is a need for really really quality Hanukkah music that really actually delves into the themes of Hanukkah. It's not just about latkes and whatever. So, very long story short, we tried to focus on an aspect of the liturgy for Hanukkah that didn't have a lot of music that was associated with it, or choral music for that matter. And I forget how we came across the text. I think Gerald found it.
I found
Yeah.
it.
So you can talk about that, but
Yeah.
yeah. But we found a text that spoke to the contemporary meaning of the liturgy, and I think from there it grew. And I'll let you talk a little bit more about the text.
So as Joanna said, we wanted to do something for Hanukkah. I mean, choruses are always looking for Hanukkah music. So there is there's just a need in the repertoire, and we wanted to do something that wasn't "I Have a Little Dreidel." And I found this wonderful poem in both Hebrew and English by David Evan Marcus, who's actually kind of a neighbor of mine, that updated a classic Hanukkah song, Hanerot Halalu, to speak about, and I'm just reading it now, how the lights that we light on the candles are calling us to be partners with the divine in making the world a better place. For the wonders we will do with you for our descendants and our ailing planet in these urgent days for times to come. So it very much sort of parallels the traditional text, but updates it and gives it, as I said, this urgency. So I was in touch with the author. He was very happy to to have us use it. And then one interesting thing in when you mix Hebrew and English in a choral piece is deciding how you're going to do that. It's always a little tricky. Is it just random that you pick some Hebrew? And so we decided to start with the initial part with Joanna having a solo in Hebrew, then the chorus would come into English, and then they'd come together in both languages. So
Great. Thank you all for sharing that context. It's so helpful. I think this is the perfect time to listen in these urgent days. Like, wow, talk about relevance. Let's do some listening and also get a chance to hear Cantor Dulgan's beautiful voice. That starts us off.
Al hanisim ve'al
Oh, so beautiful. And Mazel Tov, congrats, Cantor Delkin. It was just so beautiful. So glad you could join us tonight.
Yeah,
I,
beautiful.
just yeah, just in listening to, I'm glad we got to listen to the whole piece because I know that's the piece that was written specifically for Cantorai. And Adam, I'm kind of curious if you can, just since you're really in touch and close to your singers, like, were there certain pieces or certain parts of Gerald's composition that like really seemed to resonate, especially with your singers? Like, were there just things that kind of hooked them that might have surprised you, where you're like, oh, I know they're gonna love this?
Well, singers always love melody, right? So we've talked about that. Those are plentiful in Gerald's music, which is great, and not just melody for the sopranos, but for everybody throughout, right? There's a chance to have a beautiful long line in every part, which is great. But there are these twists and turns that Gerald's music takes that are very, very interesting. You cannot sit and kind of turn your brain off. Sometimes singers really enjoy the ability to just sing the prettiest thing they can. I think that what really intrigues is these kind of lefts and rights that Gerald's music takes on occasion. That you have to think a little bit more about where things are going, and it also forces you to think about a piece in a macro style. You have to know where the bends in the road are going to be to really understand how it relates to the text. And then that's the other thing that really worked for us is that all of these texts felt especially fresh and very, very meaningful and impactful. And I think the way that Gerald sets these texts highlights their beauty in a way that is really unique. So those are the things that really kind of stuck with the choir and me. Maybe a couple pieces that really kind of were special. We obviously enjoyed the title track from Such Barks. Lighting Our Way as a new commission is always fun to do. Where it really builds into that wonderful climax at the top there was really fantastic. We also loved a piece maybe we'll share in a little while. It's just a very simple Ose Shalom, but it really is gorgeous. And that one was the last one we recorded on the entire session, and people were humming it and singing it for days upon days. And I'd get a text from my soprano section leader, I've just been singing Ose Shalom over and over and over again. So those were really fun.
Oh those earworms.
Yeah, I love that.
um,
I love
yeah,
that.
I mean, for me, of course, getting to listen to "Lighting Our Way" again, just whenever as a composer you create a new piece, especially for a choir, and then they take it on as their own piece, it's such a thrilling experience. So I just have thrown one thing irrelevant, but that the album cover with these flaming blueberries is an unretouched photo of that I took in my happy place, which is Beach Mountain on Acadia National Park in Maine. Last summer, very early in the summer, when the blueberries were just starting to come out, and I just happened to get this photo where the blueberries were, like electrically purpley pink in this very strange way. And I'm very happy to have my favorite place in Maine immortalized on this thing. So noting that.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. It's a gorgeous photo, and in a time when everything is tweaked and filtered, it's just so beautiful to see it in its reality. Well, this is great. I would love, obviously, this album was a result of a really wonderful residency. Like, rich relationships were made between singers, composer, conductor, and it sounds like we have several people on Zoom today that are singers. That it sounds like we even have some composers. I'm not sure if we have any choir directors on here, but I would love, Adam, if you could share any advice you have for other conductors wanting to do a residency, working with living composers. And then Gerald, if you could share any advice you have on being in the composer seat and performer seat in a way. It'd be really great for everyone on the Zoom to be able to just learn a little bit about if this is something that they'd want to do, or when they're a part of a project like this, how they can make it meaningful.
Yes, absolutely. I think that it's really important when you enter into a residency where you're bringing somebody in, whether that's a performer or a composer who's actually, kind of with you for the whole season. We conductor folks tend to get a little bit controlling at times. I don't know where that comes from, but we every once in a while tend to want to kind of micromanage everything. And when you are working with a composer, especially when you're working with a creative, I think you have to give over a little bit of control in places. And sometimes that's not as easy to do. But working with a composer like Gerald really does make that simple because you can trust right away that you both the organization and the composer have their heart in the right place, and you have to trust that. And that's, I think, the really kind of interesting part of it is to say, you know what, we are for lack of a better term, married to this person for the better part of a year, and we're going to let whatever happens happen. And I think you can trust that anytime you bring somebody in for a full season, you will learn a lot. They will learn a lot. Your organization will learn a ton about how to work with somebody new. And, for us, it was very special that Gerald was not from Minnesota. Minnesota can be a little bit of an insular place every once in a while, especially in the choral community. So to bring in Gerald's sensibility of, big bad New York, but also the gentleness with which he moves through the world. It was just a lovely dichotomy of that. So I think the bottom line for me is go in with an open heart and willing to really commit to something.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Well,
Thanks.
I'd say, first of all, that Adam, it was clear that you had that attitude so fully in your being, and that you. I just felt it. I just felt it all the time, and that you've done it now with three singers. I'm sorry, with three composers, and hopefully maybe we'll do more in the future. That in itself is showing your ability to do that. I'd say one thing I'd like to any conductors who see this at some point, I'd like to encourage you to do a similar kind of residencies. It's not that common, and it as we said before, I think can be so meaningful. I mean, it's definitely very meaningful for the composer to get such a commitment from the chorus and the conductor, and I think hopefully very meaningful for the chorus as well to get to know a particular composer and work in such depth. And anyone who wants to ask about it can definitely speak to Adam or me, and we can tell them more about it.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing that. And I'll just add, from the composer's support world, getting a good recording is gold. So there's so much value. I mean, the residency itself is so rich,
Mm-hmm.
and the music going out into the world recorded in a way that is such high quality, and that Gerald can use to get more people listening to his, like, it's gold. So it's also just so generous, Adam, for Cantor to offer this kind of residency, resulting in such a beautiful recording.
I agree. The recording at certain points almost feels kind of secondary, even though it's the primary reason to do and to go down this rabbit hole together. But it does feel like just a natural byproduct of this. And yeah, it's very much our pleasure, and we had a great experience with it.
This is great. Well, I say let's do a little more listening. We've got one more song, one more track that we want to share with people, and that's O Se Shalom, which we've already talked about a little bit. Oh, You Who Make Peace. And we're going to listen to an excerpt of the last 2 minutes of this piece. And of course, you can listen to the entirety on streaming. I'll share links for all of that before we leave tonight. But let's listen a little bit to O Se Shalom. Oh, just gorgeous. Gorgeous. Thank you so much. I'm going to share in the chat here for anyone who wants to, just letting you know you can stream the entire album and or purchase it. Shared a link where you can get all of those hyperlinks: Spotify, Amazon, Pandora, soon Apple Music, but not quite yet. Stay tuned for that. If anyone wants to hear the story, but another behind
Don't
the
really want to
scenes
hear it.
story, we won't make you listen. So I just wanted to encourage everyone to grab those links while we're on. And this has been such a wonderful night. I'd love to just kind of close with like learning, Adam, what's next for Cantorai?
Well, we just wrapped up our 38th season. So next season, we embark on three more concerts and another recording project, which we're very excited about. So we will have a chance to reprise our Dia de los Muertos program in the fall, Advent with Cantorai again, and then in the spring with our Friends of Cantorai, we will be singing Pulang Gloria with a local community orchestra here, Minnesota Philharmonic. So we're looking forward to that. And then right around the corner, our 40th season, where we're going to do a whole mess of looking backwards and also quite a bit of looking forward. So I think one or more of Gerald's pieces will be on that program season again. So we're very excited about it. One very very tiny little thing I'd like to add: if you are watching some of these lyrics videos for the pieces, especially Oseh Shalom, there's a little Easter egg in the middle of Oseh Shalom. I put the peaceful place that I find peaceful in the world, and Gerald's peaceful place that he already mentioned tonight, Acadia National Park, in some of these videos, just to kind of give us a sense of overwhelming peace on the earth. So just a little nugget for you.
Thank you, Amos. I loved when I saw those.
I love that. Gerald, what's next for you? What are you working on these days?
A few things. So first of all, I just want to mention that later this month, Louise Kerner, who's on this is on this video. She's a pianist, a pianist by love, an amateur pianist, and I wrote a set of my pieces, including Oseh Shalom, arranged for piano trio, which she'll be premiering later this month. I have a very fascinating project coming up. I'm traveling to Germany later this month, where some of my music is being done, and I've gotten connected with an amazing horn player who plays the shofar, which is the ram's horn, which is played on the high holidays in Judaism. But he plays it like a real instrument. He plays it like none of us who have ever heard a shofar have ever heard a shofar. And I'm writing a new piece for him and a wonderful pianist and a string orchestra to be performed there. I have two opera projects that are in early development. One on a beloved children's Hanukkah book, and one on the life of Mary Shelley and how she wrote the novel Frankenstein. So that's some of what's coming up. We'll see what comes out.
Yeah, you both have a lot of exciting and diverse activity and repertoire plan. That's really great. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight and taking a moment to celebrate such a wonderful relationship and incredible album. It's been such a joy to get to know over the past year. And I just know that you are all very appreciated, and it's really wonderful to see living composers working with, like really active, like progressive, wonderful choirs. And this has been incredible. I don't know, Adam and Gerald, if you have any last words, but this has been a really wonderful evening.
Well, the whole experience of the residency was incredible for me, and I'm now so glad I'm so grateful to Adam, so grateful to Cantorai, Joanna and her synagogue, and everyone involved, and now to finally have this album is really amazing.
I agree. We have a musical relationship that is very strong now, and it's great to just have a new friend. So we appreciate it, Charles.
Thank you, Adam.
Great. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
Laura.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
Laura
welcome.
made this thing happen, so we really appreciate it. So thanks.
Oh, it is such an honor. It's what a joy. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you, Gerald. Thank you, Adam.
The last piece we're playing was written for Hazamir. Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor. You are not required to finish the work. It takes the famous thing from Pirkei Avot, from rabbinic times, and you are not required to finish the work, nor are you free to abandon it. which I think is an important message for this time when sometimes we feel overwhelmed. You can't do everything, but still do what you can. So going
Perfect
out
way
on
to
that.
end the evening. Let's listen. Beautiful. Thank you. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you
evening,
all. Have a
everyone.
great evening. Thanks. Bye-bye.